What's going on, fellas? Welcome back to the stream. This is a part of our essentially daily stream where we stream every day during the week at 8 p.m. Eastern and on weekends, on Sundays, at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So let me get everything hooked. Let's get everything hooked up here. Get it all ready. Bear with me for a second, boys. We're coming off a pretty good card, actually. Chop, it's 11. What's going on, brother? Welcome, kid low. But let me just get myself situated here. There we go. All right. Welcome to the stream, everybody. So yesterday we actually had a pretty good card. In terms of news, there's honestly not too much news since yesterday. The only thing that I just quickly wanted to touch upon is we kind of already knew about this, but Umar Nurmagomedov is going to be the main event of UFC Vancouver. There was already some rumors that he was going to fight Mario Batista, so the main event for Vancouver is probably going to be Batista versus Umar. But yeah, that's really the only news that we had. But the other thing that I wanted to go to was the card yesterday. So yesterday was an Apex card. I know there wasn't too much excitement around the card or anything like that, but the card itself was really, really fun. Unfortunately, I didn't get to watch some of these earlier fights, but I did start to watch from the Pulaev fight going forward from there. And the fights were good, but the Bashi fight, I saw the highlights. I didn't actually watch it, but I saw the highlights. Bashi was very aggressive. He was able to get a submission relatively early on into the first round. And from my understanding, it was essentially just a domination in that one. The Pulaev fight was a good one as well. In the first round, he was getting taken down, held alongside the cage. But for Klein, he kind of gassed out in the second round. Pulaev found space, was doing a good job at stopping takedowns, then threw a beautiful body kick and threw a couple of other follow-up shots to find the finish. So that fight turned out to be really fun. Vieira versus Tresean Gore was a fine fight. It was fine. Ended up in a decision victory for Rodolfo. Nakamura, this is another body kick finish. Nakamura landed a beautiful body kick very early on to the first round, only a minute and 2 seconds in, and found a finish on Nathan Fletcher. Definitely a really good fight. We'll see where Nakamura is able to go forward from here. He does look like a pretty good prospect, in my opinion. But we shall see. Good grappling, very powerful on the feet. So good stuff. Then this turned out to be a really fun fight as well. Kevin Vallejos versus Danny Silva. Vallejos with the obvious victory, I thought, but definitely a very fun fight at the end of the day. So that was a good one. Another prospect on this card that was showing out. Him and Bashi thus far were able to do a good job at showing out on this card, showing their skills and showing that they do belong in the UFC, and they are legitimate prospects in the UFC. So that was fun. Then we have Neil Magny. Neil Magny found a finish. Could you believe that? He was able to find a finish in the second round. Good performance from Neil. Was able to get a takedown, get Dos Santos's back, land ground and pound shots. I believe he was relatively close on a submission as well, and eventually was able to find the TKO finish. So good win for him. Card would have been awesome. The start wasn't so. Yeah, I agree. Also, it would have been cool, honestly, like for this main card and part of the prelims that were also pretty good, the tail end of the prelims. It would have been cool if this card was in an arena, but whatever. It's in it was in the Apex, but what can you do? Karahosa is kind of whatever. I guess decent action, but kind of a whatever fight. But then these top three fights were very, very good. Esteban Ribovics versus Elvis Brenner was a great fight. I was surprised. My prediction going into this fight is I thought Ribovics would find a TKO in the second round. He was landing a lot of shots. He was pressuring for essentially the entirety of the fight. He did a great job at stopping takedowns when Elvis was going for them. He does get hit a little bit too much for my liking. That's the only thing I'll say about Ribovics. But the thing about him is his chin is so good. He's got such a big head that it doesn't really matter. He's able to eat essentially everything that comes back his way. I believe there was a couple of really big shots that Brenner landed relatively cleanly on Ribovics, but it didn't even stun or phase Ribovics at all. He just continues to press forward. So good performance for him. He was able to get in the inside, land a lot of shots, a lot of big shots, especially round two. He was really starting to pile it on. But credit to Brenner. He showed a really good chin. He didn't get dropped at all. It didn't seem like he got hurt even all that bad in this fight. So pretty surprised it went to a decision, but regardless, good victory for Ribovics. And this kind of just adds to the list for Ribovics of fights that have been very entertaining. And in my opinion, I really think this guy's one of the most entertaining fighters in UFC. I know he's not the biggest name yet at this point, but the type of performances that he's consistently putting on is just really, really fun. Literally, all of his fights have been really fun. So we'll see where he's able to go forward from here. As I said, the only knock that I would have against Ribovics is he does take a lot of damage in his fights. So we'll see how long he can go forward from here. But um, I am still pretty high in him. I do like his game a lot. Then we had this fight. This was also an absolute banger of a fight. Rebetsky versus Chris Duncan. This was very back and forth. In the first round, Rebetsky was doing very well. Going into the fight, I kind of felt like Rebetsky would be able to find. Well, I don't know if he would, but okay. I guess really what I'm trying to say is in the first round, I thought Rebetsky would be the most dangerous. And if he were to win, he would probably need to find a first round knockout or first round finish. But as the fight progressed, I thought Chris Duncan would have a better chance and start to come on. That's kind of what happened. First round, Rebetsky was able to drop Chris Duncan, hurt him. But then going forward from there, Duncan started to claw his way back, hurt Rebetsky a couple times. Rebetsky had a nasty cut on him in that third round. And just a banger of a fight. A lot of back and forth action. Rebetsky did have some moments, I believe, in the third round as well, but they give it to Chris Duncan. I think that was probably fair. Um, we get split decisions when fights shouldn't be so yeah, that's true. Um, I probably would agree with you. Yeah, a lot of times we do get BS split decisions, but um, yeah, last night we didn't. So yeah. Anyway, so good performance from Chris Duncan. Really fun, really amazing fight. And then the main event. A lot of people thought Hung Sung Park would be very live here, as he has shown pretty good ability thus far. He was undefeated going into this fight, but in my opinion, I always felt like the end was going to be Tatsuro Taira by finish. Um, And that's kind of what happened. In the first round, he was able to land two naked right hands, but that were able to land on Hung Sung Park, and he was able to drop him. And then the second round, he was able to find a takedown, take Park's back, and was able to submit him. So honestly, pretty easy fight for Tatsuro Taira. In my opinion, I still am pretty high in Tatsuro. He's very, very big for flyweight. I thought that was pretty obvious in this fight, and just in general. I mean, he's very big for the weight class. The one thing that I was just worried about him was his striking. How good would his striking be? In this fight, we didn't see it that much. I mean, he landed a couple big shots, yes, but I would still like to see his striking against maybe somebody a little bit better on the feet than Hung Sung Park is. But at the end of the day, really good victory for Tatsuro Taira. And for Hung Sung Park, we'll see where he goes from here. I mean, as I said, I just do think that Taira is a really good fighter. And Park, yes, he lost to him by a very dominant second round submission, but at the end of the day, I don't think his career is over or anything like that. This was a very big step up in competition for him. Now, if he were to fight Steve Erceg, I think Steve would have probably been able to do somewhat of a similar thing here to what Tyra was able to do. I think Steve would also have been levels ahead of where Park is at this point. So I think it probably would have been a finish for him as well. But regardless, that's kind of the results we had from this card. But as I said, overall, really good card, really fun card. A lot of finishes on the card. Even these back-to-back decisions and Rebetsky fight and the Elvis Brenner fights, they were decisions, but they were all-time banger fights. Honestly, both of them. So really good card. Definitely no complaints about it. As Kid Low said, maybe the beginning of the card wasn't great, but honestly, ever since the Bashi fight going forward, all these fights were pretty good. Maybe outside of the Hosa card fight, but a lot of really fun fights, really good fights. So no complaints at all from this Vegas card. Now for next week, we'll see how the card does pan out, but it appears that it's not going to be as good as this week on paper. We'll see though. Root to Basket is taking someone. Yeah, I agree. He takes a ridiculous amount of damage, and obviously he's not that big of a star yet, and he's not that high. I don't even think he's ranked. So yeah, he's not making that much money, which is unfortunate. But he takes a ridiculous amount of damage. Even in the fight he won against Orabai, he took a lot of damage in that fight. But yeah, he's just a warrior. It's just how he fights. He's going to take a lot of damage. He's going to be able to inflict a lot of damage as well in a lot of his fights. Even in this one that he lost, he was able to really hurt Chris Duncan in that first round and was able to land a lot of damage on Chris. It was kind of just two warriors, and that's kind of why I said it's unfortunate, because you have two guys like that, and also in the Elvis Brenner and Ribovics fight, you have two guys that are just willing to go at it, put on amazing performances, but they barely get paid. And also on top of that, it's not even in front of a crowd. So when you talk about fights of the year at the end of the year, these two fights are not even going to be considered. I mean, I'm not saying these were the fights of the year, but if you have like a top 10 list of fights of the year, top 15 list of fights of the year, these fights could legitimately be on it. They were really, really good fights, very good back and forth battles. But, most people are probably not going to remember it because most people don't watch Apex cards. So it is unfortunate, but that's, I guess, that just is what it is. That's the UFC's model at this point. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much longer Betsky can go, because, yeah, he takes a ridiculous amount of damage. I think Ribovics does take a lot of damage as well, but it's not the same as Rubetsky. Rubetsky takes a ridiculous amount. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. But yeah, so the card this week was great. For next week, I think the main event is probably going to be better than this week in Roman Dolidze and Fluffy Hernandez. I think that's going to be an interesting fight. But outside of that, there's not too many great fights or even good fights next week. So I'm not expecting an amazing card. The co-main event is going to be fun for sure. Steve Verseg versus Ode Osborne. I'm fully expecting Steve to get back on track here and find a finish over Ode, but we'll see what happens in that one. You have also Andre Fili versus Christian Rodriguez, which could be interesting, maybe. Chris Leroy Duncan versus Eric Anders, probably a finish for CLD. Julius Walker versus Raphael. Raphael is just so not good. So Julius Walker is probably going to find a finish there. He's a decent prospect to look at. Elijah Smith is also going to be on the card. He's also a good prospect to look at. But yeah, that's honestly it. Not a lot of amazing fights on this card. We'll see how it pans out. I mean, going into last week's card, or yesterday's card, I should say, I did say that a lot of times when you have cards that you don't have high expectations for, they could over-deliver. I do think that yesterday, it did over-deliver. But at the same time, going into the card, there were a lot of fights that you could have seen that could have been fun. So, yeah, it turned out to be good. But for this week, there's honestly not too many. But we'll see. Maybe the card will over-deliver. Sometimes it happens. We're just going to next to a lot, but it makes it slight damage. Yeah, I agree. There is a difference. I guess the thing about Ribovics is he does move, like he takes a lot of shots, but at the same time he does move his head decently well. But for Rubetsky, he's like really there to be hit. So is Ribovics, but more so Rubetsky. And I think Rubetsky even puts himself in more danger than Ribovics does, which is saying something, because Ribovics really goes for it, and he really puts himself in danger a lot of times as well. But yeah, he takes so much damage. It is insane. So yeah, I mean, there's a limit on how much damage you can take as a fighter. So we'll see. We have seen a lot of guys in the past take a lot of damage throughout their careers, and then all of a sudden their chin is completely gone, or they're completely washed. They're a lot slower than they used to be, and you see the effects of all the damage. I'm not saying that's going to happen for Betsky right now. I hope it doesn't ever, but you never know. He's taking a ton of damage, so you never know when that switch could be flipped. So yeah, there's been so many examples over the years of guys like that. A lot of layups for certain fighters. Legit, only two good matchups. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I would say probably the only good matchups that I see on this card is the main event, which honestly could be very one-sided, but it could be interesting potentially. And then the co-main event, Steve Verseg, I think that could be fun. Outside of that, yeah, it's just a bunch of layups, I think. For Julius Walker, it's a layup. For Elijah Smith, it's a layup. And the other fights are just whatever. Maybe C-Rod versus Andre Fili could be interesting, maybe. But yeah, honestly, not a lot of great fights on this card. But at least the week after that, we have UFC 319, Dricus and Hamzat. So that'll be really fun. What We'll see. Rick Allen, what's going on? The Legend of Rick. How does it feel to be a BTC millionaire, bro? I'm not a BTC millionaire, but it would be cool if eventually I can get there. But yeah. So that's the card. But yeah, as I said, it's probably not going to be amazing. But next week or the week after, we have 319 with Trickus Hamzat, Lerone Murphy Pico, Jeff Neal Prates, Cannonier MVP, Tim Elliott, Kaya Sakura. I think that main card might be the best main card all year, honestly. We'll see. We'll see how it pans out. But on paper, I think it's actually very, very good. And then the prelims are not amazing, but there's some fun fights in the prelims, like Alexander Hernandez, Chase Hooper. That could be fun. Even Lupi Godinez versus Jessica Andrade. That could be fun. Brian Battle versus Ruzaboyev most likely will be fun. Barbosa versus Jakar Close most likely will be fun. Diego Ferreira versus Bobby Green. It's kind of a whatever fight. I think Bobby's kind of washed at this point. So I'm expecting Diego to win the fight. But maybe it could be interesting. Mirror Shark versus Ola Jacek. I don't know. It might be okay. But really, the main selling point of 319 is the main card and obviously the main event specifically. So we'll see how that pans out. And even the co-main event, Pico versus Lerone Murphy, is a lot of meaning to that fight. Winner gets a title shot, most likely. So that's going to be a really fun one. Bro, how'd you do it? Give tips? I'm not a BTC millionaire. But yeah, so that's kind of what we have for the next 2 weeks. We got a couple of good cards for show. MB, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. That guy that gassed out round one. Oh man. Gonna be a ton of finishes, I think. C-Rod, Smith, Water, say, by finish. Yeah, I could see that. I would agree with you on most of those. Honestly, maybe all of those, to be honest. Yeah, a lot of layup performances. And yeah, even the Urseg performance, like the Urseg versus Ode, like Ode should be a layup for Urseg. I'm fully expecting him to win. We'll see. If he loses, I'll be very surprised, honestly. But we'll see. So yeah, I do agree with you. A lot of finishes, and I guess if there are a lot of finishes, the fight could be fun. But we shall see. I wouldn't be surprised if CLD wins by finish as well. Eric Anders, this doesn't always show the best chin in the world, so maybe he can get a finish. Honestly, I'm not too high on CLD anymore, though. I know a lot of people were. But for me, I'm not really that high on him. But we'll see. Maybe he's able to get a finish. Matsumosa versus my list from the yeah, he is. He is boring as fuck. But we shall see. We shall see how that fight pans out. Oh man. But yeah, interesting. Honestly, it really does suck. I really wish how the UFC did it was this previous cards should have been in an arena. That would have been really fun. That would have left a great taste in our mouths at this point. And then for this next week, I think next week's card is a legitimate Apex card. Like it's probably not going to be great. So if that's in the Apex, fine. But having back-to-back Apex cards kind of suck. But whatever. But then we have 319, as I said, and then the card after that is going to be really good, actually, for a fight night. Really good in general. It's going to be the Shanghai card, Zhang Min Yang versus Johnny Walker, Ortega versus Aljamain Sterling. That's a sneaky good fight. Ortega versus Aljo, Sergey versus Waldo. That's a good fight. I think Sergey's going to win, but that should be a fun one. Marco Tulio versus Michelle Pereira. I'm assuming Marco's going to win relatively easily. Michelle looked so bad in his last performance. He literally gassed out like a minute into the first round. It was very weird to see that. But we'll see how he looks in this next fight. I'm assuming he's going to have one round of gas or less. So the first round of Tulio versus Michelle might be cinema. So that fight might be good. Loner Kavanaugh versus Charles Johnson is a good fight. A really good step up in competition for Loner. And then for Charles, this is another really tough fight. They've really been giving Charles Johnson a lot of tough fights, but it's not getting easier here against Loner. I do think Loner would win the fight. Then Sumadarji and Kevin Borjas. That's going to be a really, really good one as well. I'm excited. I'm leaning Kevin Borjas, I think, but really fun fight. Song Kanan had to actually pull out, so that's not going to be on the card. Long Zhao is back. The last time I saw that guy, he got robbed in a split decision, I thought. But we'll see. He's not that exciting of a fighter, but we have that one, and yeah, that's really the whole card. But there's definitely a lot of good fights on this fight night card. We'll see. It's gonna be weird. Delete is so durable and strange. Yeah, maybe. I could see it. He is very durable. I mean, he's probably going to be very tired in this fight if it does go the full 5. But I know I think you don't agree with me, but I really think this is true. I really think his jiu-jitsu is like really good. Just he can't wrestle or doesn't look to wrestle. So we'll see how that holds up if he's able to avoid submissions from Fluffy or if he's able to threaten submissions on Fluffy. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think the first round could be dangerous for Fluffy. Delite does hit hard. He has no technique on the feet though, so that'll be interesting, I guess. But Fluffy has gotten hurt to the body in back-to-back fights in the first round, so we'll see if Delite is able to land a big shot to the body, a body kick, or maybe just a right hand up top. We'll see how it goes, but yeah, most likely Fluffy will win the fight. But we'll see. It probably is going to be a weird fight, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so that's what we have for the Shanghai card. It's going to be fun. But that card is going to be like early. I don't know what time it's going to start, but it's going to be early. So got to wake up early for that card. Then the next week, yeah, this is the thing though. Yeah, we have like this Apex card that's not great this upcoming week. But after that, 319, then we have Shanghai. Then the week after that, we have UFC Paris, which is going to be really, really fun. Actually, I think it's 2 weeks after that. We have a break in between, but still. The next card will be UFC Paris with Imavov and Caio Borralho, which will be a really fun fight. I'm assuming Imavov's going to win the fight. I'm not too high on Imavov personally. I'm really not. I think the path to beating him is out there. Just pressure the guy. Sean Strickland did it very effectively. Obviously, he's dangerous even if you are pressuring him. But if you're able to pressure him and be defensively sound, I think that's how you beat him. You can tire him out. You can land your own shots. And moving backwards, it becomes a lot more difficult to land big shots from Imavov's perspective. And also, he tends to gas out a little bit if he's on the back foot. But I just don't think Caio Borralho is going to be able to do that to Imavov personally. Caio usually is the one backing up. So stylistically, it's probably not the best matchup for him. So I'm assuming Imavov is going to win the fight, but should be fun while it lasts. And yeah, we shall see. Then Gustafsson and Fakhretdinov, that'll be a good one. That'll be literally all action, no technique, all physicality. That'll be good. And then Tybura is on the card, whatever. And some of the other fights are kind of whatever. Paul Craig and Bukauskas is kind of a fun fight, I guess. It'll be a very interesting one, to say the least. So we'll see what happens on that one. And obviously, as I said, the Paris cards are always really fun. The crowds are always great. So that'll definitely add something to the card. If we had a crowd to this previous week's Apex card, the card itself is really good, as I said, it would have made it a lot better, in my opinion. So whenever you have fans there, it's great, especially if you're in a great arena like Paris usually is. And then, of course, the co-main event, BSD and Rufy, is also going to be fun. But we'll see. The Strickland fight was on 3 days' notice and up a weight class, to be fair, and 3 rounds. Could anyway. Yeah, I guess. But I personally think Strickland's a hard matchup for Imavov, just because he's going to pressure Imavov. Imavov doesn't do nearly as well in the back foot. And yeah, it was 3 days' notice, but Strickland was also fat out of weight, and he was also fighting on 3 days' notice. So I guess it was kind of fair for both guys. Or maybe Strickland was supposed to fight someone else. I don't remember exactly what happened, but he was definitely out of shape. No, I think Strickland was not supposed to fight anybody. and he came in on 3 days' notice. I think that's how it went. I could be wrong, but if that's true, then it would have been an advantage for Imavov actually, if he was already prepared in training camp. But I could be wrong on that. But yeah, I don't know. I think Strickland's kind of a tough matchup for him, and that's sort of if you're able to pressure him, I think you can beat him. But we'll see. We'll see how he does. Khabib confirmed Islam versus JDM happening for UFC tonight. Yep. Yeah, we kind of expected this to happen, and yeah, there's been a lot of reports already, essentially confirming it. But yeah, Khabib, I guess, officially confirmed it. We'll be seeing that card. I'm assuming the UFC is going to be announcing that sometime relatively soon, and that'll be a fun one. As I said, I don't know if this is true or not, but as I said, I think the co-main event has a real chance to be Pantoja and Van, which would be amazing, and a card of JDM versus Islam and a co-main event of Pantoja versus Van would be so fun. We'll see how they fill out the rest of the card. I know Dan Hooker said he wanted to fight on that card. Maybe Dan Hooker versus Arman Tsarukyan could be on that card. Who knows? There could be a lot of really fun fights on that card. So I'm excited to see how they fill it out. Usually they stack MSG, but we shall see. We shall see. But the vet always has the advantage in a short notice fight. Yeah, they do. I just think even if it was listen, obviously we didn't see this. I don't have any evidence to support this. I just think Strickland's style is a tough stylistic fight for Imavov. But who knows? If we ever see that fight down the line, maybe it could be different. Also, Umar fighting in Canada. Yeah, so he's going to fight Batista in Canada, in Vancouver. So I was looking at that card in Vancouver, and I guess it wasn't filled out yet because it was saying that the main event is Fiorot versus Jasdavicius, which didn't make sense. So I guess it's going to be Umar versus Batista, which it's a good fight. I would have personally liked to see Umar versus Peter Yan, but they decided to book Peter Yan against somebody else, and he won, of course. So Peter Yan's most likely just going to wait for Sandhagen versus Merab and fight the winner of that. I'm assuming that's what's going to happen, and because of that, they're doing Umar and Batista in Canada. So that should be a good fight. That should be fun. Going back to Canada, we'll see how they stack the rest of the card or fill out the rest of the card. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of really good fights in the fall in terms of pay-per-views, in terms of fight nights. There's a lot to look forward to. The only card that I would say between like this upcoming weekend, I don't think is going to be great. But outside of this upcoming weekend, for the next like 2 months or maybe even 3 months, I would say the only card that I'm not really looking forward to is UFC Noche, which is Diego Lopez, Gene Silva as the main event. But there's like nothing else on the card outside of that. I know Yanez wanted to fight in the card, and if they add him, he's a fun fighter. That could be a fun fight. But I don't know how many more fights are going to add to the card, if they're going to add any more. So we'll see what happens about that. But outside of Noche and this upcoming weekend, all of the fights are great. Pay-per-view and fight nights. But we'll see. And Imavov was cutting weight. 10 pounds less than Strickland. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I just think stylistically, Strickland would win that fight. But I have notoriously not been that high in Imavov, so I guess we just differ in opinion on that one. But we'll see. We'll see. He's definitely a good fighter, though. I'm not saying he's not. But yeah. But yeah, so then the card after UFC Noche is going to be the Perth card. The main event's going to be fun, really fun. Dominic Reyes and Carlos Ulberg, probably a number one contender fight. There's actually 2 number one contender fights in the same weight class. But it makes sense because for Dominic Reyes and Carlos Ulberg, it will be the number one contender fight, but it'll be after, I guess, number 2 contender fight, if you want to call it like that, because the winner of Yuri and Roundtree is going to fight for the belt against Magomed or Alex, most likely Magomed. So then the winner of Carlos Ulberg versus Dominic Reyes will fight for the belt after that. I'm assuming that's how they're going to play it. But the fight itself is going to be fun. It'll be pretty cool if Dominic Reyes is able to get a victory there, and it'll be pretty cool if he's able to get another title shot after, a long road after losing, and a lot of people would consider a robbery loss to John Jones. So we'll see what happens there. The rest of the card isn't really filled out yet. We'll see what they can put on the card. There's definitely some pretty good fighters they could add to that card. Then Pereira and Magomed. It's a good fight. We'll see how it goes. A lot of people are leaning with Magomed, and probably he'll win, but we'll see. We'll see what adjustments Alex is able to make in that fight. Then Marab versus Corey Sandhagen. That should be fun. I think Marab is probably going to dominate, but should be fun while it lasts. And then Yuri versus Roundtree. That's really the best fight of that card thus far. There's only been 3 fights announced on the card, but that one's going to be really, really good. So we'll see how that pans out. I kind of feel like the first guy who lands in that fight is going to find a finish or going to find a knockout, but we'll see. We'll see. And then after that, we have the Umar card, as MB was talking about before, with Umar and Batista as the main event. We'll see how they fill out the rest of the card. And then after that, it's Tom Aspinall versus Rilgan and some other good fights as well, like Volkov and Almeida, Rakic, Azamat, Muzakhanov, and honestly, that's it thus far. But yeah, that's kind of our schedule for the next few weeks, or a few months, I should say. Definitely a lot of good ones. And even there's been some that's not announced yet, like the MSG card, which I'm assuming is going to be really good. And maybe there's one other card that has been announced. It's not on the list yet, but a lot of good stuff. So the fall is usually good for the UFC, but I think this fall might even be better than normal for the UFC, just with all these cards. Usually the MSG card is stacked. Usually the December card is stacked. Usually the Abu Dhabi card is stacked. And then on top of that, a lot of these fight night cards look to be pretty good. So we'll see how they stack it up. But definitely pretty good stuff coming for show. But yeah, who do you guys lean in Umar versus Mario Batista? It's an interesting fight. I'm assuming Umar's going to win. I kind of just think he's better, probably everywhere, to be honest. But Batista is a good fighter. I know a lot of people aren't a huge fan of Batista, but he is a good fighter. He's pretty slick on the feet. On the ground, he definitely has some skill as well. So interesting fight. I think it's a good main event for sure, but I kind of think Umar is just a little bit more slick, both on the feet and honestly on the ground as well. So we'll see how that one pans out. But I'm leaning Umar personally. But yeah, it's kind of what we have. Umar going to win easily. He's no Apache mix. Yeah, I think he's going to win as well. As I said, I just think he's kind of just has him covered everywhere. He kind of has Batista covered everywhere. That Apache mix performance was honestly so weird. He literally just stood still for the entire fight, didn't really throw much, and was just taking shots. So I don't know. Weird performance from Apache mix. I guess we'll see where he goes from here, but definitely not a great way to start your UFC career. Yeah. Here we go on the kick side of things. Just trying to promote something that I'm not interested in buying. But yeah. By the way, if you're a Chris Duncan better, you're doing really, really well. Plus 155 in his first fight, or it was not, I don't know, it was the first fight, but plus 155. Then he was plus 245 versus Jordan. Then he was plus 195 in this most recent fight versus Rebetsky. Pretty good money on Chris Duncan for sure. If you're a better of him, especially if you're taking the submissions in his last 2 fights, the value probably hit really nicely. But yeah, let's see. Do we have any good value for this upcoming card? Usually, I just like to look at some of the value here. There's a lot of big favorites. I'm assuming a lot of layup fights in this card, so probably won't be a lot of value. But let's check it out. Weird seeing you here. You're on Kick. Very nice. What's going on? Are you Kid Low or are you somebody else? Hey, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. What card for this upcoming weekend? Esteban is a psycho. Yeah, dude. Esteban is really, really good. His style is essentially just pressuring, throwing a lot of shots, getting inside the pocket, landing a lot of big shots, and he does get hit a lot. He does in essentially all of his fights. He gets hit a lot, but it doesn't really matter because his chin is just really good and he hits pretty hard. So he's willing to take a shot to give a shot. So yeah, he's a really good fighter. Esteban is like prime Luke. Yeah, he's very, very fun. He's very fun. In my opinion, he's honestly like top three, top five, maybe most entertaining fighters in the UFC. It is weird because he's not even ranked at this point, and not probably not too many people know who he is, at least casual fans. But he always puts on a really exciting performance. So this just adds to the list. He had the fight of the year earlier on. Um, so yeah, he's a great fighter. I'm definitely very high on him. We'll see where he goes from here. As I said, he does take a lot of damage, and eventually that adds up, and could definitely make his chin a lot worse than it is now. But so far at this point, he's young. He has a great chin, and we'll see how much further he can go here. I'm pretty high on him. Chris Duncan's a savage. Yeah, that fight was amazing as well. But honestly, props to both guys. Rebetsky really put on a war as well. In the first round, he did a lot of damage to Chris Duncan, almost finished him in the first. But Chris did a good job at surviving round one. Um, and then going forward from there, he kind of just pulled away, to be honest. He did a lot. He landed a lot of damage on Rebetsky and won the fight. So great performance from Chris Duncan. He's like 3 fights in a row or 4 fights in a row where he's the underdog and he won. So great performance from Chris Duncan. Definitely a savage for sure. And it was crazy because back-to-back fights were insanely good for the Esteban and the Chris Duncan fight. So pretty good night for anybody who's watching that card yesterday. Tyra dominated Park. Yeah, he was just way better than him. I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting to see. Like, is Park actually just not good, or is Tyra that good? I think it's probably the latter. I think Tyra is just that good. But yeah, it wasn't even close. On the feet, he was able to drop him. On the ground, he was able to submit him relatively easily. So really good performance from Tyra. We'll see where he goes from here. Maybe one more fight before he gets a title, or maybe he just gets a title next. We'll see. But there's definitely some other fights. I would probably like to see Tyra versus Brandon Moreno. I think that makes sense as a title eliminator because obviously we have Van and Pantoja next. So if you do Tyra versus Moreno, I think that'll be a really fun fight. I think it also makes a lot of sense. And if Tyra is able to beat Moreno, then you could potentially give a lot of trouble to Pantoja. But we'll see. We'll see. Obviously, Moreno's a really tough fight for Tyra as well. Because, the one fight that Tyra did lose against Royval, it was because Royval was able to stop takedowns, and on the feet, he was kind of piecing up Tyra to a certain extent. So we'll see how Tyra does against Moreno, if that is the next fight. But at the same time, I was hearing some rumors about Moreno and Royval wanting to fight each other for the third time. So if that happens, then I guess the Tyra fight wouldn't happen with Moreno. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. K of the year contender. 3 fights of the year contender. That's fine. Yeah. Insane, bro. Insane. Very exciting fighter. I think Tatsuro could beat Pantoja. It's possible. It is possible. He's going to be a lot bigger. I think the thing with Tatsuro is he's really good. His jiu-jitsu is elite, and he's also just very big for the weight class. The problem stylistically for Pantoja is I think Pantoja probably even has better jiu-jitsu than Tatsuro. It's close. Tatsuro has great jiu-jitsu, but Pantoja might even be better. So I think that's going to be a little bit difficult. And on the feet, Pantoja is also pretty good. Neither one of these guys are all that technical, to be honest, but they're both kind of just really physical. But I think Pantoja could match the physicality of Tatsuro. But it's a really interesting fight. I wouldn't be shocked if Tyra won that fight. It's interesting. But stylistically, I do think Pantoja has the fact that he has such great jiu-jitsu, I think, helps him out in that one. Chris is tough. Yeah, he is tough. Very tough performance from him. Great performance. Really fun. And we'll see where it goes from here. I think more people need to respect him, including myself. I didn't have that much respect for Chris Duncan earlier on, but he's been able to rattle off 3 wins, really impressive wins, honestly, all of them. And we'll see where it goes forward from here. But yeah, by the way, David, welcome to the stream. Pereira Rodriguez looks like. Yeah, I agree. She did look better in this fight. So good for her. Good performance. Is Oda Yasmar into Steve Ursing? Dude, I hope not. I hope not, man. I would be so upset, dude. I was honestly, maybe this is not a popular opinion, whatever, but honestly, I think Steve Erceg is a legit contender at flyweight. And when he went up against KKF, I was super confident that he was going to beat KKF, and I think he honestly, I mean, I guess this is a ridiculous statement, but I think he kind of was on his way to finding a victory against KKF. It just he got caught, but that's kind of what KKF does. So I guess it's kind of a ridiculous statement. But the only way Ode Osborne wins in this fight is via KO. So for Steve, he really just needs to stay out of the way of some of those big power shots. Um, so we'll see. I really hope he gets the victory here. I really think he'll get the victory here. He's definitely better than Ode everywhere, but if he takes a big power shot, who knows? Um, but I think he should win. Josh Van is going to put away Pantoja. It is possible. I think at this point, Van might be one of the tougher, or definitely one of the tougher, maybe the toughest matchup for Pantoja. He has a great ability to stop takedowns, and on the feet, he's just very, very skilled. He's way better than Pantoja is. The only thing on the feet that I will say about Van, which is a little bit of a concern, is he's not that physical. And for Pantoja, he's ridiculously physical. He hits really hard, and his chin is insanely good. And for Van, we have seen it against Charles Johnson, where he was dominating Charles Johnson for the most part. And then he took one big uppercut, one clean uppercut, and he was knocked out cold after that. So that's the one thing I will say. The physicality is something that I'm a little bit worried about going into this fight for Van. But for the most part, I think stylistically, it's a pretty good fight for Van. As I said, he can stop takedowns very well. And on the feet, he counters very effectively. And Pantoja always likes to press forward and throw a lot of wild shots. So I could see Van countering that aggression very nicely. And we'll see. And as they always say, whenever you're able to counter someone that's pressing forward and going into your shots, it doubles the power. So we'll see what happens. But the two things that I would say I'm worried about for Van is the physicality advantage for Pantoja, but also if Pantoja is able to find a takedown, I think on the ground, it'll be very dangerous for Van. Because as I said, I think Pantoja is probably the best or maybe the second best jiu-jitsu practitioner in the UFC. Him and Charles Oliveira are like very close in my opinion. Between who's one and who's two, they're both right there. But yeah. Dominic Reyes will KO Carlos. Yeah, well, I think so. It's an interesting fight. But I think there's a good chance of it, or a decent chance of it. And if he's able to win, as I said, the next fight will be for the title, especially if he's able to get a finish over Carlos. So I'm excited for that card for sure. The main event's good. We'll see how they fill out the rest of the card. But yeah, Dominic Reyes versus Carlos Ulberg is going to be fun for sure. Usyk has such great performances versus Pantoja. Yeah, honestly, you're probably right. I think you're probably right. Yeah. He had an amazing performance versus Pantoja. Honestly, I thought there's a realistic scorecard that you can give Usyk the fight. I know in the 5th round he did make a mistake shooting for a takedown, and if he didn't shoot for that takedown, who knows? Maybe Usyk wins the fight. But even with the takedown and him getting reversed or whatever, I still think there's a realistic world where you could have given it to Usyk. But regardless, he lost the fight. Fine. And then in the KKF fight, yeah, he was a little bit lax. You're right. I think his confidence did blow up a little bit. And he was just caught by KKF. It's kind of just what happened. But I think talent-wise, Usyk beats KKF. Out of 10 fights, I think Usyk beats KKF like 7 times maybe. So I thought that was kind of unfortunate that he just got caught, but you know, it's the fight game. It can happen. And that's kind of KKF's style. He just lands a big shot and knocks guys out, which is rare for flyweight, but that's what he does. And then the Moreno fight was weird because I think the scorecard was 4-1, I believe. But the fight itself was closer. Like 4-1, I think could have been a fair scorecard. I think it was a fair scorecard. But when if you watch the fight back and watch each individual round, each round was very close. It's just Moreno was a little bit ahead of Steve in a lot of those rounds. But it was close. But yeah, he's on a 3-fight losing streak. But if you actually watch all those fights back, you can see that Usyk's on that level of some of these other guys, and he's a legitimate contender, in my opinion. So going from Pantoja to KKF to Moreno to now fighting Ode Osborne is a huge step down. So you would assume that Usyk will be able to style on Ode. hopefully find a finish and at least hopefully get the victory. Let's be honest, Michael Rose and it could be undefeated. Yeah, he's good. He's good. That body kick was nice. He's very, very physical. Honestly, he's pretty good everywhere, to be honest. And as I said, really physical and has shown pretty good skill as well. I agree with you. I think he's good. We'll see who they match him up with next, but I think he's the real deal. Singles and doubles is wins. That's what. Round 2 set for Pantoja. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, we'll see. Because obviously, Van has shown a pretty good ability to stop takedowns, and I think that could be huge in this fight. But Pantoja is relentless, and over a full 5 rounds, we'll see how much he's able to tire out Van, if he is able to tire him out at all. Van has shown a great gas tank at the same time, but we'll see. It only takes one takedown to get him in his world and possibly find a submission. So I wouldn't be shocked if he does win by submission. I thought watching live Usyk won by damage. Definitely at least 3 rounds. Yeah, it was a close fight. It was a close fight. I don't know if I watched it back live. I thought, well, honestly, this is what I thought live. I thought live Usyk could have won, but it just felt like they were going to give it to Pantoja. But yeah, it was probably fair. But close fight. As I said, in that 5th round, Usyk just made a mistake where he shot for a takedown, got reversed. If he never shot for that takedown, I think he could have won the fight. Probably would have won the fight, honestly. But, he made the mistake, and the rest is history, I guess. And Van could legitimately make 115. He's very small. Yeah. That's the thing. That's kind of what I was talking about before, the physicality difference. Pantoja is really physical for 125, and Van is just not. As you said, he could make 115. I agree with you. He's really, really small, which is kind of impressive to see how far he's gone at this point and had all the success that he's had. But going up against a guy like Pantoja, his luck, or I don't want to say his luck, but his success could run out a little bit against Pantoja just because, as I said, he's going to be so much more physical. As you said, he's probably going to be at least 10 pounds heavier than Van in the cage, which is probably true. And in the grappling and the wrestling, it's definitely going to play, as well as, honestly, even in the striking. If Pantoja is able to land some nice body kicks or land some nice left hands to Van, if he's ever able to land clean on Van, who knows? Maybe he can find a knockout from there. So that's the only thing with Van. He's a great fighter, very, very well-rounded. He's just really small, even for 125. He's just really, really small. And that's the issue with him. But we'll see. If he's able to find a perfect counter, who knows? Maybe he can hurt Pantoja. Pantoja has shown an amazing chin. He's been countered before. He took that huge elbow from Steve Usyk clean when he was coming in. He's taken some other big shots as well. Kai Sakura landed a big knee, and he's really never been hurt or affected. The only time he was hurt was against Figueiredo, who just hits like a truck. And it's probably the hardest hitting hitter ever at 125. And even he wasn't able to finish Pantoja. So we'll see. The physical traits are certainly in the favor of Pantoja in that one. But I think it'll be a really fun one for as long as it lasts. But we'll see. Really hoping that fight's on the New York card. That'll be a banger couple of fights, main and co-main event for one card. But I could also see that card being in December. But yeah, we got anything new here? Let's see. Yeah, I just see somebody's pointing this out, as Kid Low was talking about before, which is true. The last 3 fights for Rebetsky is just insane. The amount of damage he's taken. So he lost to Diego Ferreira in a very dominant fight from Diego Ferreira, actually. Ridiculous amount of damage for Rebetsky. He gassed out, and he also took a lot of damage in that fight. Then he beat Urabai. He inflicted a ridiculous amount of damage on Urabai. Somehow Urabai survived and continue to fight in that third round. But still, Rubetsky did also take a lot of damage in that fight as well. And then obviously, most recently against Chris Duncan, he took so much damage as well. So yeah, insane like 3-fight run where he's just taken so much damage. He's definitely a warrior. Always puts on really fun fights. Rubetsky definitely has a claim to being one of the more exciting fighters in the UFC for sure. I mean, if you look at those last 3 fights, but unfortunately for him, he just takes a lot of damage. Oh, this is a fun fight. Somebody's talking about putting this fight together. This will be fun. Nazim Sadikov versus Esteban Ribovics. That would be such a fun fight. Both guys have ridiculous hardware. I talk about this all the time, but I'm really high on Sadikov just because he takes shots. He definitely does, but his hardware is ridiculous. He hits really hard. He can take a shot very, very well. And he always puts on fun performances. And honestly, the same thing could be said about Esteban Ribovics. So that'd be a fun fight if they're able to put it together. It's just the only caveat I will say about that is they are both unranked, I believe, and usually you don't like to match up really fun prospects against each other this early on. But we'll see. The only reason why yesterday, what was my bad? And I thought it'd be fight. Yeah, dude, seeing Magny get a finish is so weird to me. I honestly, maybe I'm like too low on Magny, but honestly, I just feel like he doesn't really do that much well. His striking's not great, his grappling's not amazing, although it's okay. He's not physical at all. So I really just feel like he's not an amazing fighter, but he has been able to stick around for a while. He's been able to get some victories. He was able to find a finish here in this fight. So, yeah, honestly, kid, I think you probably made a good bet pre-fight. I mean, obviously after the fight it wasn't, but pre-fight I probably would have agreed with you that it was a good bet. But yeah, Magny kind of just came alive and found the finish in the second round. But what are you gonna do? The second round, and Tyra sub's a good one, and Bashi sub, that was a good one as well. So good couple bets there for Bashi and Tyra though. I thought it'd be by EDC is telling you. Yeah, I agree. He does. He probably does. Oh, he didn't pick for. Oh, okay. It was just round 2 KO for either. Oh, so great bet. That was the second round KO, right? The Magny one. I'm pretty sure it was. So great bet there. Men's flyweight is one of my favorite divisions. Yeah, I agree. I've been talking about this for a while. I feel like a lot of people wouldn't agree with us just because for whatever reason, a lot of people don't like flyweight because they're smaller. They don't find as many finishes. But there's so many guys that are really fun fighters, legitimate contenders. The champion obviously is very active and one of the best fighters in the UFC in Pantoja. But in terms of contenders, like legitimate contenders, you have Joshua Van, Brandon Moreno, Tatsura Taira, Manel Kopp. You could even throw Brandon Royval in there if you want to. You can throw Steve Erceg in there if you want to. Kai Sakura, I know he lost to Pantoja, but I do think there's a chance he could be a contender if he wins a couple of fights. Almabayev looks pretty good. There's so many really good fighters at this weight class. And of course, at the top, you have a really good and fun champion in Pantoja. And the thing about Pantoja is he honestly checks off all the boxes. For one, he's winning, and that's the most important thing. So he's one of the best fighters right now and one of the best fighters in flyweight history at this point. Very close to becoming the greatest fighter in flyweight history. I don't think he's there yet, but he's close. So he has that box checked off. The other box he has checked off is he's very active, which fans love to see, and the UFC also loves to see. And then the third box he checks off is he's really exciting. Even though it's flyweight, and usually you don't see that many finishes at flyweight, for Pantoja, he's honestly finishing most guys, where he's able to, land some shots on the feet, maybe hurt them on the feet, find takedowns, and then eventually find a submission. So there's really not much to complain about when watching a Pantoja fight. He does a lot of things really well, and he's just a really fun fighter as well. And then Obviously, as I mentioned, all those contenders that I just mentioned, most of those guys are fun fighters. Van is a really fun fighter. Moreno's a really fun fighter. Brendan Royval is definitely a really fun fighter. Tyra is a pretty fun fighter. Manel Kopp is a really fun fighter. Steve Erceg is a fun fighter. And even if you want to throw in KKF in there, he's a fun fighter. There's just so many guys that are really good, but also are fun at the same time. So flyweight's great. I personally think it's the best weight class at this point. Although there definitely are other good weight classes, but I think flyweight is the best from top to bottom. Charles Johnson and Andre Lima. Yeah, I forgot. Dude, I'm so high on Andre Lima personally. I've talked about this a couple times, but yeah, he's a legitimate contender. Charles Johnson is really good. I don't know if Charles Johnson ever becomes a top 5 guy, but he's a really good fighter and he's unranked, which kind of just shows you how good that weight class is. And Andre Lima's unranked and he's amazing. Loner Kavanaugh's unranked and he's amazing. Asmad is really good. He's fighting soon, I believe. And Tajir's a really good fighter. There's just so many great fighters at that weight class. It's pretty ridiculous, to be honest. But Andre Lima is definitely a guy to look out for. He has a kickboxing background. He's really fun. And even his grappling has proven to be pretty good. In his last fight, he was able to take his opponent down and submit him. So I'm very, very high on Andre Lima personally. But he only fights in the Apex, unfortunately, so I don't think that many people even know him. Horiguchi as well. Yeah, the Gucci. Let's go. Yeah, we'll see how he does as well in the UFC. Does he have a fight booked? I don't know. Maybe not, but we'll see what they do with him. Did you see Michael? Okay, but yeah, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. I think he's legit. David was talking about it before, and I agree with him. I think he's legit. He appears to be very physical. He's very skilled, honestly, everywhere. And yeah, that body kick was beautiful. Perfectly timed, perfectly placed, toes stabbing into the liver. You really can't draw it up better than that. So great finish from Nakamura for sure. Andre Lima is definitely going to be a top 5 for his whole career once he gets there. I agree. He's just very well rounded. His striking is great. He doesn't really get hit that much. Pretty defensively sound. Great kicks. Does a good job at mixing things up. And as I said, his grappling is even looking pretty good as well. Usually don't see that from guys that have mostly a kickboxing background. So yeah, he's going to be good as well. There's just so many guys. It's interesting because when you look at some of the guys that are coming up with Loner Kavanaugh and Andre Lima, those are the 2 guys that jump out to me, both unranked guys. Both of them I think are going to be really, really good. So it'll be interesting to see who they match him up against when they start to fight guys in the rankings. I think both of those guys should fight a ranked guy next. I know Andre was supposed to fight, and then I think he pulled out or his opponent pulled out. I know the fight was canceled. So I don't know who pulled out, but regardless, I think he should fight a ranked opponent in his next fight. I know he wasn't supposed to in that fight, but I think it should be whenever they rebook him. And then if Loner is able to beat Charles Johnson, he definitely should fight a ranked guy at that point. But we'll see. I agree with you, kid. I'm really high on Andre. Let's see, next card, week's card. Yeah, I was talking about it a little bit before. I don't think it's going to be great. The main event could be interesting. The co-main event should be good. The co-main event is the one fight that I think will be fun, Erceg and Ode Osborne. But outside of that and the main event potentially being fun, there's really not too many fights that I think are going to be good. There's a lot of layups in this card and fighters that I think will find finishes, like Julius Walker, Elijah Smith. Steve Erceg, I think, will find a finish as well. Maybe even CLD, maybe he'll find a finish. But in terms of like great fights or even good fights, I don't think there's too many of them on this card. But I've talked about this a lot. Usually when we look at cards that don't look that great on paper, sometimes they overperform on the night of. So maybe we'll get one of those cards this upcoming weekend. We'll get a few surprises and maybe some banger fights. But for the most part, I don't think it's going to be an amazing one. But we just have to suffer through this week. And then after that, for the next 3 months, we have great cards every single week. Pay-per-views and fight nights. So that'll be good. Lima was to fight. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, as I said, I think he still should fight a ranked guy, even with a fight cancellation. but we'll see. Maybe they're deciding to push Andre Lima a little bit slower, which could be a good idea. I mean, sometimes we see really good prospects get pushed a little bit too quickly, and then they turn out to lose confidence and go downhill from there. So maybe they're just trying to push Andre a little bit slower at this point. Or what did I say, Andre? Yeah. But yeah. Uh, who's next for Tyra? I want it to be Brennan Moreno. I think that fight makes a lot of sense. That's a legitimate number one contender fight. I think Tyra needs to fight one more time before fighting for the belt. And him versus Moreno, I think makes a lot of sense. Um, but I have heard Moreno wants to fight Royval and Royval wants to fight Moreno. So I don't know if that fight's happening. If it is, obviously we can't see the Tyra fight versus him. But that's what I would like to see. Tyra versus Moreno. And if Tyra's able to beat Moreno, I think I would lean Moreno, to be honest, in that fight. But if Tyra's able to beat Moreno, then who knows? He could probably give a lot of trouble to Pantoja. Um, you know, Tyra does a lot of things really well. His grappling is obviously elite. On the feet, I think he needs to. I think he needs a little bit more polish on the feet, but still, he is very physical on the feet, and he hits really hard, and he does some good things on the feet for sure. And he's also really, really big for flyweight. So he has a lot of advantages at that weight class. And I personally think he's really good. So we'll see. Just like the heavyweights, there's only legit 35%. Yeah. Yeah. Unreal. Flyweight's tremendous. Flyweight is tremendous. Hopefully so. Come up from another series. Okay, yeah, that'll be interesting. Yeah, Contender starts what next week, right? Not this weekend, next Tuesday. Honestly, I'm gonna do a watch along for that Contender fight next Tuesday, and also this weekend. I'm probably gonna do a watch along as well for this card. I know it's not gonna be great, but I'll probably do a watch along. I wanted to last week, or yesterday, but I just couldn't. It turned out the card was amazing. But for this weekend, I'll do a watch along. And usually, and for the Contender, as I said, I'll do it as well. Usually for the Contender series, a lot of these fights are pretty good because guys are trying to get a contract, obviously, and the best way to do so is by getting finishes. So a lot of guys really go for it in those fights. So that should be good. That should be good. I think I was looking at it. There's not too many heavyweight prospects. Is that 49ers? Former 49ers player fighting this week for the Contender or next week for the Contender series, or is it the week after that? That's kind of what I'm interested to see. I mean, football players haven't done great in the UFC to say the least, but they do have natural advantages as they're most likely going to be very athletic, and maybe hit hard. We'll see. So let's see. Let's see what we got here. It just doesn't make sense. Why I got these fun. I actually didn't even know that. I didn't even know Nikolai was cut. Or Felipe Dos Santos, I did know was cut. It's unfortunate, dude. He's actually a good fighter. He's just running into great fighters. I agree with you. Felipe is really, really unfortunate. And he's a really fun fighter as well. It's kind of weird they cut him, but I don't know. Yeah, but I don't know. If you're the PFL, honestly, you're happy about it. Do they have a 125-pound division? I think they do. But yeah, if you're the PFL, you're happy about it. Two good fighters that they can stop. But yeah, I really agree with you about Felipe. I think he's good. He's just running into better guys. So the UFC definitely hasn't done him any favors. But even all the fights that he's been in, I think he's 0-3 or whatever he is. But they've all been really fun. And he's had success. I was honestly, if you want to be honest, I kind of thought that Makayev was a little bit fraudulent. That's what I thought. I thought his grappling was solid, but unless you're Pantoja and your jiu-jitsu is like elite, grappling at 125 is not nearly as effective as other weight classes. So I thought he was a little bit fraudulent, to be honest. But he was able to get victories, and now he's fighting in Brave FC, I think, and he's still winning, I think, at least. So yeah. Yes, he's also 5-0 with all stoppages. Joshua's let's go. Yeah, so I'm definitely excited to see that. The heavyweight division desperately needs new guys, man. It's pretty ridiculous. So that'll be fun. That'll be fun. But yeah, so there's middleweight, welterweight. Yeah, I was going through this one of the other streams that I did, and yeah, outside of Hoyt or what's his name? Hoyt. Outside of him, there's really not too many heavyweight prospects on the contender, which is unfortunate. We really need a guy, but we'll see. Big on, what's going on, brother? Welcome back to the stream. Ribovics reminds me of Dustin. Well, his fights are amazing. They both put on great performances. And the thing about Ribovics, though, is he takes a lot of shots in the process. But yeah, both really fun, really fun. But we'll see where Ribovics goes. I really want to think he's going to be good. The only thing that I'll say about him, though, is he does take a lot of damage. And as your career progresses, it's not always amazing. But in terms of his skill, I think it's there. He showed great takedown defense in that fight, in a couple fights, but especially yesterday. And on the feet, his boxing is solid. He honestly has decent head movement. He just gets hit a lot. And he hits pretty hard, and his chin's great. A lot of good intangibles. Ribovics has tight boxing and a chin. Yeah, he does. At the top of that, he has amazing I think cardio is something that people don't talk about. His cardio is amazing. He's been in a war a couple times back to back. 3 fights actually. 3 fights in a row. He's been in a war. Really hadn't gassed out at all in any one of those 3 fights. He just continues to push forward. Usually is on the gas, lands a bunch of shots. He takes shots, whatever, but he doesn't really care. His chin's great. And he just puts on fun fights. I'm very high in Ribovics. Really exciting fighter, and as the title of this live stream says, he's honestly one of the most exciting fighters in the UFC. So they got to put this guy in an arena in his next fight. No more Apex. He had back-to-back fights in the Apex for whatever reason. Put him in an arena. He's too exciting. Makhaev's a legit top 5. He had trash performance, and everyone thinks he's boring. Yeah, you might be right. I personally I wasn't that high in Makhaev, but I haven't watched him ever since he left the UFC. Yeah, all of them had great performances. Pulaev with a beautiful body kick. That was nice. Also showed a pretty good ability to stop takedowns in that fight for the most part. Nakamura, also a beautiful body kick. I think he's going to be really good. Vallejos, I already thought was going to be really good, but this performance just bolsters that. I definitely think he's going to be good. So yeah, this card is good in general. A lot of good fights, but also good for prospects. A lot of these prospects really showed out yesterday and put on good performances. What do you think Tyra's performance? I expected more from Park. Yeah, great performance from Tyra. He dominated Park everywhere. He kind of just showed levels. I agree. I thought Park would have been a little bit better. I thought Park was a decent fighter. But honestly, he just got dominated, if we're going to be honest, in that fight. On the feet, he got dropped. On the ground, it was relatively easy for Tyra to find the submission. He didn't even have the choke under the neck. It was on the chin, which still hurts, but I guess his squeeze is that good. And Park decided to tap. It was just a domination. Great performance from Tyra. And for Park, we'll see where he goes from here. I also did expect a little bit more from him. It was a huge step up in competition for him. So maybe it was just too quick, or maybe it's just not that good. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens for Park. But obviously his next performance is going to be up against somebody who's probably not ranked. So we'll see how he does in that fight and go from there. But for Tyra, as I was talking about before, I would like him to fight Moreno next. I think that fight makes a lot of sense. Number 1 contender fight, title eliminator. Magny showed levels to Dos Santos. Yeah, I'm really not high at all on Magny, but he put on a good performance. He did. So good for him, and he was able to find a finish in 2025. So good for him. Good performance. And Dos Santos, not a great performance. And good win though for Magny. But yeah, the card was good. Honestly, was pretty good yesterday. But yeah. What do you think of next week's Apex card? I don't think it's great. I think the main event is going to be better than last week. Roman Dolidze and Fluffy. It's an interesting fight. I think it'll be good. Comans, Urseg, Ode is going to be good. But outside of those two fights, there's really not much that catches my eye. I mean, the third fight is Lucinda versus Angela Hill. Like, what the fuck is that? For being honest. Andre Fili versus C-Rod may be interesting. But yeah, there's really just not a lot of good fights on this card at all. But we'll see. I know I've mentioned this like a million times already, but a lot of times when we talk about cards that don't look great on paper, sometimes they over deliver because it is MMA at the end of the day. Anything can happen. Some of these big favorites that we're really confident that are going to win could easily lose. A given fight, they can get knocked out, or it could turn out to be a closer fight than we expect. So anything could happen, but I don't think this week is going to be great, if I had to guess. UFC puts all the good fights. Yeah, not using for it's actually it's actually annoying. Like for as a card as a whole, Apex cards are usually not great, but there's usually like a couple fights or more than a couple fights on every Apex card that's actually really good and would be great for an arena. For example, this previous week, Tyra versus Park. I don't know if that's probably not an. It could be, I guess. Maybe that could be like a prelim, not a prelims, lower half of a main card in an arena. So I guess that could have been an arena. Chris Duncan versus Rebetsky, 100% should have been in an arena. Brenner versus Ribovics, 100% should have been in an arena. Vallejos versus Danny Silva probably also should have been in an arena, to be honest. And outside of that, that's probably it, honestly. But you know, those fights could have been an arena, and by putting it on the Apex, you're kind of taking away those potential fights from a really fun arena card. But for this upcoming weekend, Dolidze versus Fluffy could certainly be in an arena on the main card of a pay-per-view, or maybe even high up on a arena fight night card, maybe even the main event of an arena fight night card. It makes sense in terms of rankings. Urseg versus Ode Osborne could definitely be in an arena as well. That's a fun fight. Outside of that, that's probably it on this upcoming card. But yeah, they kind of do take fights away from arena cards. But what can you do? Ribovics is not a popular fighter, and the UFC is not promoting him. I completely agree. I legitimately think he's one of the most exciting fighters in the entire UFC. But they keep putting him in the Apex. This is the second fight in a row they put him in the Apex. Get this guy in an arena. People need to see this guy fight. He's super, super exciting. So, you know, it's unfortunate. And I agree. They're just outside of not putting him in an arena, they're also not they're not promoting him well. I agree. But listen, if he keeps putting on these performances, and most importantly, if he keeps winning, he'll be popular. He'll be popular. Johan Bruno versus Kevin Valdez. Ooh, that'll be so fun. That'll be fun. That'll be really, really fun. I would like that fight. Or maybe in Hyder Emil. Hyder is coming off a knockout, but he's fun. He always goes for it. That'll be good. I think the Brito, the Hyder Emil versus Kevin will be fun, but Brito versus Kevin will be nonstop action. That'll be a really good fight. I like that one better, but I also like the Hyder Emil. It's also a good one. 305. What's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. But yeah, so some good results. Yeah, good matchmaking, man. Honestly, I really hope they do that. That'd be so fun. Brito and Kevin. Who does Ribovics fight next? Do you guys think? I think he could fight a ranked guy next. Probably should, right? He probably should. He lost to who did he lose to? Hasbroth, but I thought he should have won. And outside of that, he's on a little bit of a win streak. He would be on a win streak if it wasn't for that fight. And he's always putting on fun fights. But yeah, I don't know. Who do you guys think for Ribovics? I always be going live when I'm working. I'm just waiting for customers to come. Let's go. I time it up with whenever you're working. I'm like, all right, when's he working? All right, we'll go live. But yeah. But yeah, good way to pass the time. UFC has to be careful of Vallejos. The Danny Silva fight was a good test. I agree. I agree. Yeah, that's the thing with prospects. I think Vallejos is legitimately really good, but a lot of times when you have prospects, you want to be a little bit careful with them because you don't want to push them too quickly. We've seen it a million times in the past where a prospect would look very promising, and the UFC would push him a little bit too fast to lose. He'll get finished or whatever, lose all his confidence, and never be the same from there. So yeah, you do have to be careful with some of these guys, but specifically for Kevin Vallejos, I think he's that good. I think he's that good, but we'll see. Um, but anyways, so for what was I checking? What was I checking, chat? Lightweight. Let's see, lightweight rankings. Here we go. Um, what could we do? What could we do? You know, what would be a really, really fun fight. I don't know if they'll book it, but you know what I would like to see? Ribovics versus Michael Chandler. That would be fun, man. Put that in an arena, main card of a pay per view. That'll be fun. I think Ribovics wins that fight as well. Um, I would like that. I know a lot of people were saying, who were they saying? Chandler versus BSD. I think there were some rumors of that happening, but obviously BSD is already booked to fight someone else. So Ribovics versus Michael Chandler would be fun. And you know, if Ribovics does beat Chandler, which I think he would, I think Chandler's all but washed at this point. So if Ribovics beats him, especially if he finishes him, that's really going to be a fight that can push his name, and I think it'll become more of a star. Um, but yeah, any weekend with the UFC, grounds good, brother. You're right. You're right. You are right. If there's fights this week, a certain weekend, it's always going to be fun. So I'll definitely be watching, and we'll see how the fights play out. Hopefully, we get some finishes and some fun fights on the card. Rivich should be undefeated if you get this round. Two pretty bad decisions. Yeah, unfortunate. Really unfortunate. The Hasprath fight specifically, though, I really thought he should have won that fight, but they gave it to Hasprath. Weird decision, but yeah, unfortunate. Um, but what was the other fight? Am I forgetting something? Yeah, it was just a Hasprath fight. So he's what is he 4-1 UFC? Because he beat Zellhuber. I thought he should have beat Zellhuber. He did win. It was a close fight, but I thought he should have beat Zellhuber. He did. I got the decision there. He beat Terrence McKinney by KO. He decisioned Kirk in his UFC debut, and then he lost to Hasprath. Bad decision, in my opinion. And then he just beat Elvis Brenner by decision. So good performance on all of his fights, honestly. Um, so yeah, I mean the kid's good. Kid's good. He's gonna be really good as well going forward. So yeah, honestly, I really like that Michael Chandler matchup. UFC, do it. That'd be a great fight. Um, Ribovics versus Michael Chandler. I don't know. Is there any other guys? Maybe you could do like Grant Dawson versus Ribovics. Ribovics has shown a good ability to stop takedowns. Honestly, I think he beats Grant Dawson. Maybe you could do that, but it's not as fun as him versus Chandler. So yeah. What else? What else we got in the card? What other matchmaking can we do? So Tyra, my matchmaking after this card is Tyra versus Moreno, Ribovics versus Michael Chandler. Who can we do for Chris Duncan? What's a good matchup for Chris Duncan? Nothing wrong with Lucina Angela Hill. I think it's an interesting matchup. I guess it could be. I guess it could be. But who are we doing for Chris Duncan? He's probably got to get a ranked fight at this point. Do you do Grant Dawson versus Chris Duncan? Maybe you just do that one. Or maybe you could do Moicano versus Chris Duncan. Maybe one of those two. What else? Neil Magny, I don't know. Kevin Vallejos, we kind of already did it. Kid had a really good suggestion there. Brito versus Kevin. What else? What else we got, chat? His debut, he lost a bad decision. Is it not on here, bro? What the fuck? Nah, I believe you, but It's legit not on the ESPN thing. That's weird. Um, but yeah, ridiculous. Nicer in arena, but really doesn't matter. I would rather have fights every Saturday. Apex is genius. Yeah, I mean, listen, I know a lot of people hate the Apex, and I'm not a fan of it either. I definitely prefer arena cards, but at the same time, I guess it does have its perks. Because without the Apex, probably these next 2 weeks would have been like no cards these next 2 weeks. So I guess the Apex kind of adds cards for these 2 weeks. So I guess it does have its perks. And there's definitely been a lot of fun fights at the Apex. So probably have a point. Rosabina. Okay. Yeah. Honestly, I don't think I watched that fight. But oh yeah, that sucks. Unfortunate. It is kind of funny the amount of decisions that Ribovics goes to, considering how he fights. It is kind of weird. But yeah, he's only had one finish in his UFC career thus far versus Terrence McKinney, which was a really early finish, 37 seconds in. But he's going to go up against guys that have great shins. Zell Huber, Elvis Brenner, Hasbreath, all have shown to be pretty durable. So, yeah. But honestly, it makes for more fun fights. So, yeah. Ribovics is the man. Let's see. What do you guys think for Roman Dolidze and Fluffy? I'm assuming most guys are leaning with Fluffy. I think I am as well. But what do you guys think? Oh, and also I kind of got sidetracked. We were looking at value for this upcoming weekend, if there is any. A lot of big favorites, which I kind of expected. I think it's fair. Urseg's minus 400. I don't know. The only maybe I don't think he's gonna win, but the only potential value that I could see money line wise for this card is maybe Roman Dolidze at plus 250, maybe. But even then, as I said, I think Fluffy is probably gonna win the fight. But outside of that, like Steve Urseg's a minus 400, which I think he's gonna win, unless you want to do like Ode Osborne by TKO. That's the only way Ode wins, but. I think Urseg kind of has Ode covered everywhere. I think he wins. So minus 400, there's no value there. C-Rod versus Feely. I think C-Rod is going to win. So he's minus 280. Fine. Then CLD versus Eric Anders. I think CLD is going to win. I'm not too high in CLD, but I think he's going to beat Eric Anders. If you want to take a shot at Anders at plus 340, maybe, but I think he's probably washed. Then Julius Walker versus probably the worst fighter in the UFC. One of. I think Julius Walker is going to win, probably by TKO. Elijah Smith, I think he's going to win. Jocelyn Edwards, I think, has this. Medic, the Doctor, I think he's going to win. Fernandez, I think he's going to win as well. Just a lot of heavy favorites on this card. So in terms of betting wise, honestly, not that much on this card, unfortunately. But yeah. Orbai versus Duncan. Ooh, that'd be fun. That'd be really fun. There's a lot of warriors at lightweight. I realized a lot of guys that are just willing to go forward and push the pace, throw shots, get hit, land big shots, and put on fun performances. There's so many guys like that at lightweight. It's great. So yeah, so this weekend's card, not great betting wise, at least. Maybe there's some value on props or unders, but those aren't out yet, obviously. Let's see for 319 if we can get anything here. Kai, I think, wins the fight. I think there could be value here on Ruzaboyev. I don't think Ruzaboyev is that good technically, but he's very physical and he's huge for the weight class. And Brian Battle is a little bit small, and he's definitely taken some big shots throughout his career. So there might be some value in Ruzaboyev, but if you are going to take Ruzaboyev, you should probably take him by finish, which obviously that's not out yet, but the value is going to be better. I think Ruzaboyev, if he's going to win, it's going to be by finish. Unlike other divisions, lightweight isn't as short as of stars in the making. Yeah, I agree. Lightweight's great. Lightweight and flyweight are probably the two best divisions in the UFC right now. Lightweight is usually always the best division, or at least one of the best divisions in the UFC, like at all times, just because it's kind of like most common weight, I guess. So there's a lot of really fun fighters at that weight class. Um, so yeah, it's great. So yeah, so maybe you can go here, Ruzaboyev, plus 152 money line. Finish will probably be a little bit better. Probably not too much better, but a little bit. Um, then what do we got? If you really want Diego Ferreira, maybe you can take him. Minus 180 is not great, but I think Bobby's kind of washed at this point, and I do expect Diego to win the fight. He's a solid fighter, so I think he would win. Barbosa, I think, will win as well. Minus 150 for like a 40, 100 years old Edson Barbosa is interesting, but I think he wins the fight. So maybe there's value there. For Mearshark, there could be value on Mearshark. For Mearshark, I'd probably do finish round 2, 3. Usually round 1, he's half asleep, and he'll probably get dropped in the first round. But if he could survive round 1, in round 2, 3, I think he can start to wrestle and maybe find a submission. If he's able to get Olajaychik to the ground, I think he can find a submission there. So maybe you can do money line. I probably do rounds 2, 3 for Mearshark. So that'll be interesting. And it's weird how everyone thinks Buckley, TKO Ruzaboyev, yeah, that is weird. Hey, what's going on, brother? Wow, who's this? Juicy MMA, brother. Welcome to the stream. But yeah, I'm actually surprised about this. I'm surprised that Pico's the favorite here. I thought Lerone would be the favorite. But Pico's a favorite. I personally think stylistically it's a good fight for him. I know Kid Low disagrees and some other guys, but I personally think it's good stylistically. Minus 158, I think it's too big of a premium, though. I don't know if I would take that. I'm not that confident Pico would win the fight. Probably stay away. This is one that I really like, Cannonier versus MVP, plus 148. I actually really like this. I think Cannonier is going to pressure MVP, clinch a lot in the fight, maybe even find some takedowns and find a decision victory. Probably pretty boring, but I think that's how the fight's going to play out. And then Dricus, I'm definitely leaning Dricus, but round 1 is going to be tough. Round 1 will be tough. So we'll see how that plays out. So for Dricus, obviously props are not out yet. I'm definitely going to take Dricus money line, but outside of that, I think I'm probably going to take Dricus finish, probably TKO rounds 4 and 5 as well. I really do think if he's able to make it out of the first round, Khamzat is going to start to tire. Round 2, he'll still be there, but a little bit more tired than he was round 1. Round 3 is really going to be the swing round when Dricus is going to start to take over. And then in round 4 and round 5, if it gets to round 5, I think Dricus is going to push a pace. I think Khamzat's going to be tired. And I wouldn't be shocked if Dricus is able to find a finish at the latter half of the fight. He does hit really hard for 1. And for 2, if Khamzat's really tired in front of him, he's going to push a pace and yeah, I think he could win. Murphy's decision, Michael TKO, Cannonier decision is about to pay me good. We'll see. Could happen. Could happen. But yeah, the card's good. Honestly, a lot of good value, to be honest, on this upcoming card. But we'll see. We'll see how everything pans out. But for this weekend, not amazing. Not amazing. But yeah, so for anyone joining late, I will be doing a watch along for this upcoming weekend, this fight night card, Delete Saint Hernandez. I know it's not amazing, but we'll make the best out of it. And we'll do a little bit of watch along and we'll talk about fights. We'll talk about any topics you guys want at that point. And then the week after that, it's going to be the start of what's it called? The Contender Series on Tuesday. So we'll be doing a watch along as well on Tuesday for the Dana White Contender Series. So that'll be fun. Be sure to join if you guys are interested in either one of those watch alongs. And yeah. Here we go. Tim Welch confirms Mario Batista will be fighting Umar Nurmagomedov 5 rounds. Yeah, we kind of already knew this. But this is just more indication of Mario Batista, Umar Nurmagomedov. It's going to be in Canada. 5-round main event. Good fight. I think Umar's going to win, but good fight. Good fight in Vancouver. But yeah, what else we got? Chat. It is kind of funny. That's actually funny. This guy pointed out Rebetsky and Duncan are not fighting like teammates. It is true. A lot of times when you see teammates fight out there, they it usually turns into a sparring match. But Duncan and Rebetsky are definitely both warriors. They really went at it. They landed big shots on each other. Honestly, almost finished each other. Rebetsky almost finished Duncan in the first round. Duncan was relatively close to finding a finish in the latter half of the fight, and Duncan was able to pull through. Great fight. Great performance from both guys. Um, so yeah. Um, oh, this guy said Neil Magny versus Kevin Holland next. If they do that, I'm assuming Kevin Holland will get a finish. He should get a finish, but maybe that could be next for Neil Magny. But yeah, what schmells? What schmells? That's interesting. But yeah, all right. If you guys don't have any other questions, I think I may just hop off stream at this point. Now let's read this one. Outside of CM Punk, who's the worst UFC fighter you think you have a chance to beat? Outside of CM Punk, probably. I don't know if I could beat him, but maybe Blood Diamond. He's pretty bad. Blood Diamond, or I don't know who else is pretty bad. Well, it would probably have to be someone who's smaller than me and also sucks. So I don't know. Nothing comes to mind. Blood Diamond is the one guy that comes to mind. So maybe him. CM Punk was ridiculous. Actually, he was not skilled. He was unathletic, non-physical, and yeah, his career didn't go well. I mean, he got dominated by Mickey Gall of all people. So interesting, but yeah. So yeah, I'll say Blood Diamond. But yeah. So, anyways, I think I'm going to hop off stream at this point. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll return with my normal streaming schedule, 8 p.m. Eastern time. During the week, we'll do watch along next Saturday for the Delete Say and Fluffy card. And yeah, thanks for everybody that joined the stream. Thanks for your questions, everybody. I hope to see you tomorrow. And until then, peace out, boys. Also, video coming out tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So be on the lookout for that as well. But anyways, peace out, boys.